Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Ana Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Hello, everyone. Excuse me for the short delay because last night was an 18-hour marathon working in some legal work I had to do. And so I am absolutely exhausted, but I needed to be here with you today because there's good things happening, and we cannot forget that. We cannot forget that every day, it's one step at a time, and every day really good things are happening. Despite what seems to be bad, a lot of good things are happening, and that's what I'm here for, to tell you about them in case you missed them. But as always, I want to start with a Bible verse that just came to me. I was thinking about patience because we have to have a lot of patience to endure what we have to go through and keep a positive outlook on what is to come, right? So I have this verse that says, "May the God who gives endurance and encouragement give you the same attitude of mind towards each other that Christ Jesus had." And we really need, the way I meditate over this is that while we need a lot of patience to deal with a horrific program that we're going through and the horrible things that are done to us on a daily basis, many of us have turned it into an opportunity to make a contribution to humanity. And hi, Harold. So nice to see you. So there's those like Harold who have a mission to make humanity. He contributes every week. He's constantly being a really good activist and not sabotaging the efforts of anybody. And that's why there are people that are sabotage our mission, and they don't realize. And sometimes when you listen to it, you don't realize, because the devil is a liar. You don't realize that it's like a serpent trying to get around you to defeat you. Okay, because we're doing here the good work that and we're not going to let anybody sabotage our mission. So some people, instead of attacking the criminals perpetrating these crimes against humanity, choose to attack the messenger, right? So today I ask God for the grace to pardon and ignore them, knowing that they are being held hostage by the enemy's shenanigans. May God continue to protect us. This little space here, this short space that I prepare with a lot of love for you, and made shielded, because last week we discovered that the CIA criminals have a 10-second delay between what I'm saying to you and what you hear. And I gather the reason for that is that they're so scared that I can say something that I haven't already said. But so that you are very mindful if that does happen, well, you know that I try my best to make this a very safe place. Okay, so please, since I didn't have enough time to share this link, if you can share, like, and subscribe, because that is the one way we can defeat these criminals that are shadow banning us in all platforms, and we need to combat it. And the best way to combat it, and sometimes the best way to combat it, I've been learning, is copy the post that any of us makes and then paste it onto your own, and then run with it, because sometimes the reposting gets lost along the way. So there are really great things. So please share, like, and subscribe. Bear with me if I sound tired. This has nothing to do with the legal things, but I do want to share it because it's something I benefit from. As many of you know, I have a complete W ban illegally placed within me in violation of all constitutional provisions that there are. And so the one thing that allowed me to work for 18 hours straight was the TENS unit. So for those of you that do have implants in your body, one of the great things of the TENS unit, you have to get an analog one, not a digital one. and always take out the battery when you're not using it. Well, I put this in my ears because my ears, if you look in targetedjustice.com in the implant section, you will see the nanotechnology in my ears that acts like antennas. And probably many of you have that too. So what this does is it interrupts the communication, and the best thing is that it damages the data for the criminals. So feel free to get one, but make sure you get, because I had a digital one and the criminals just beamed it and broke it, and they make jolts at you, and it's not good. So this is one good, some people say, she's not targeted because she can operate. Well, because I do things. I shield myself at night. I use a silent night constantly 24/7, and I use TENS unit, and I use always, I don't have it now because it looks ugly, but a water bag in front of my heart. And there are mechanisms that you can minimize what these criminals do to you. So anyway, so let's go with the first wonderful thing that is happening. And this didn't get a lot of coverage in the news, and I don't know why. I don't know why it did not get a lot of coverage. Let me get you the image here. And it is that the Department of Homeland Security has announced, this is it. Here you go. Let's go. The Department of Homeland Security has announced that it's going to cut 75% of its staff in the intelligence office. And of course, this is from CBS, which, it's mainstream media and it's deep state. They say amid heightened threat environment. Well, what this means for you and me is that the gangstalking operations are getting dismantled because, as you very well know, the big, beautiful bill is spending billions of dollars in taking out of the United States all the illegal immigrants, the 20 million illegal immigrants that were allowed in by Mayorkas, who was impeached and should be criminally prosecuted. So aside from this, what they're going to do is that the Department of Homeland Security not only is going to shave off 75% of that staff, reduce it from, get a load of this, from 1,000 staff to 275. Imagine 275 doing the whole, let me see if I hear the comments here. Okay, here are the comments. So this is really good news. And they are going to also place in each of the 80 existing fusion centers one employee. So what that means is that maybe they're going to be looking out for not doing civil rights violations of people and doing the break-ins and killing the pets and doing all that kind of stuff that goes on. So this is really very good news. The director of this Office of Intelligence and Analysis, bear in mind, has a higher security clearance than even the President of the United States, even higher than Kristi Noem. So a spokesperson of Homeland Security said that the DHS is getting back to its core mission of prioritizing American safety and enforcing our laws, not going chasing innocent Americans, victims of weaponization. So that is really great news to be excited about. The second very good news that I wanted to show you is that
no shoes policy with the Department, the Transportation Security Administration. TSA will no longer require travelers to remove their shoes when they go through our security checkpoints. This is something that I know for quite some time people have talked about and discussed. Exciting news to announce that today.
That is really great news, as we know, because if you have the real ID, that a lot of people are like, no, I don't want the real ID. It's spy espionage. Look, for God's sake, they know how many breaths we take a day. If a real ID helps DHS not classify victims of government weaponization improperly as suspects or terrorists, so be it. They have much more information about us with all those FISA warrants, with all of that happening. So what I tell you is the requirement is you need to have a real ID, which I already do. I mean, I have nothing to hide in that sense, and it's mandatory already. So that is one good news, because as you know, this, as you can remember, this what happened 24 years ago. Some guy tried to had supposedly some explosives in his shoes. Well, guess what? I am absolutely certain that in those X-rays of those 24 years, not a single pair of shoes has had a single explosive. That's what I'm sure of. Okay. So they probably realized that this is holding up the lines. It's absolutely stupid. However, they're still working on the belts and the other stuff that you still will have to remove them. Okay. So, but it's an improvement, and it's a step in the right direction, and it's definitely something that we should feel giddy about. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, which everybody's talking about the whole Epstein thing, and clearly nobody's happy about it. At least nobody that is a decent, honest person that is not a pedophile that went to Epstein Island, right? Because obviously there are some that are ecstatic about the fact that both Patel and Bondi are saying, no, there's nothing to see here, when the rest of the world knows otherwise. However, there's now, and the way I see it is that there, is this announcement of Comey and Brennan investigation, are they just trying to throw us a bone? And for the many of us are so disappointed. Most, in social media, everybody's just talking about it, and they just hope it goes away. So they're saying that they are going to investigate Brennan and Comey, who are in fact criminals. But what is suspicious to me about the whole Epstein thing is that exactly 3 days after the big beautiful bill was passed, that is when this unsigned memo appeared in Axios saying, oh, Epstein is a nothing burger. So I have to wonder if there was, because we know there was as many Democrats, there were a lot of Democrats that have been spoken about that were in Epstein Island and implicated. We have seen pictures of Schumer and Adam Schiff, but the rumor mill said that there were also Republicans in there. So maybe one thing has to do with the other, right? The passing of a bill and then the nothing burger of Epstein. But what matters to us is that real investigations are not announced. Real investigations are carried out, and that what is announced is an indictment. So this is why I see this a little suspect, because it's just trying to, in my opinion, it's probably just trying to distract, because the moment an investigation becomes a media campaign, it is dead. It is lawfare. It is psychological operations. And investigations are secret, and indictments are the ones that are announced. So I think this is all a distraction. I hope something comes out of it, because clearly these people do have a lot to respond to, particularly because they were players, important players in the weaponization of the government against people like you and me. Now, there's another good news, which is that the Second Circuit has reversed the conviction of Douglas Mackey. As you may remember, he's clearly a targeted individual and doesn't know it. He was sentenced to 7 months in prison for this meme, which was clearly a joke. And he was indicted, and he was for interference, supposedly election interference, for this meme that was just a joke. And he chose not to ask President Trump for a pardon, because he wanted to get acquitted. He wanted to make a legal precedent. And I have to commend him for that. And I think it's very admirable. The Second Circuit overturned his conviction in the fake conspiracy to defraud voters by posting memes about voting by text. Of course, nobody's going to believe, that you can vote by text. The feds prosecuted him in New York City, supposedly because the Twitter servers were there. This is a victory for free speech and a loss for bogus prosecutions. So what the court says is that the meager evidence is insufficient to establish beyond a reasonable doubt that Mackey and NIA for _Trump possessed an unlawful common goal. So his case was dismissed, and we have to commend him on that because this is free speech. This is what we do every day. You know, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I call General Saltzman the monster and the criminal that he is. And that is the First Amendment right, is as it exists in America, does not exist anywhere else in the world. So we have to make good use of it. And this is this is the moment to intelligently, like I have said to the digital warriors, intelligently and coherently expose this wicked, diabolical program. This week, for the international people, I need you to look at the treaties that were published in Targeted Justice this week. Those are the treaties under which your country is doing the gang stalking on you. So it is up to you to look them up, and you can actually probably sue, because these are illegal treaties that were never ratified by the United States Senate. And by law in the United States, any agreement with any country has to be ratified by the Senate. We're looking into that because those gang stalking treaties are illegal. None of them have been ratified by Congress. Some of them were executed by DHS. Some of them were executed by Charles Cable, the little FBI man that since March 2017 until January of 2023 is responsible for the targeting of more than 62% of targeted individuals. So look into that, because that is very important information. There's also a list of where the fusion centers in Europe are. You can organize a group of TIs and go and protest in front of them. Stop violating our human rights. Okay. Now, let me go for okay. This is very close to my heart. Hi, Simone. Yes, it is being exposed, Simone. We are working for it, and I am absolutely certain this whole reduction of DHS is going to also have to do with the airplanes. As many of us have seen, I know some people have reported to me. I know that might not be Simone's case, but I know many people have reported to me that the airplanes have gone down. So we have to be confident that the money is being relocated to the fight against illegal immigration. And let me tell you something. I'm a Puerto Rican. For those of you that don't know, Puerto Ricans are born American citizens because Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States. Now, I was against illegal immigration because here in Texas, where I am right now, a lot of the people that chase me around, I am absolutely certain were illegal immigrants. Why? Because it's very easy to control them. If you don't do what I tell you, if you don't go around, chase, harass, stalk, I'll kick you out. Mayorkas made an army of gang stalkers that were only responsible to him, that have absolutely no concept of constitutional rights or civics. So that, aside from the desire to sway elections, he was building up an army of people that had no scruples, and I'm not saying everybody was bad. I am just saying, even for myself, that when I go to church now, my gang stalking is 0. And it used to be bad. So even in church. Now, I want to talk to you about something that is very dear to my heart. And Many of you think I am harsh because I am constantly telling you, ignore your V2K. I don't want to hear your V2K. Don't repeat your V2K because you sound foolish. So this one is really breaking my heart. A person with V2K was told that, and let me show you the picture. He was told that the Starlink satellites are responsible for his V2K. Regardless of what you think of Elon Musk, I am going to tell you something. The first documented, I believe it's 1984, the first documented V2K case in the United States was in 1984, and it came from a satellite. Okay. Look at the dimensions of a Starlink. That's in a box of a Starlink satellite. When it opens, I think the most is 4 feet with the solar panels. Okay. Now, the V2K told this guy that Elon Musk Starlink is doing his V2K. The guy went, I think it was with a spray paint or something, to vandalize Cybertrucks. Guess what? Now he's classified, correctly so. He wasn't before. Before he was classified as a terrorist illegally. Now he is correctly classified, even though I believe there's entrapment and there's other, defenses, because any targeted individual that has been entrapped into committing a crime should demand to see their FBI file in the prohibited access and in the restricted access files, because we know it's entrapment. So here's the thing. He went and he vandalized the cars. Now he will be placed in jail and he will have the aggravated element of being a terrorist, because anybody that vandalizes Tesla cars or Tesla dealerships has been now said by Van Bondi that they are being classified as terrorists. So please do not listen to your V2K. It is powered by the CIA criminals that want to destroy you. I don't know how many times I can say you don't listen to the devil, because he's a liar and he wants to only get you in trouble. Now, this man is, the Cybertrucks have cameras everywhere. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So please do not stop listening to your V2K, particularly because I have had the case of people that are already backing off going to targeted action after they had signed up. Why? Because their V2K is beaming them. Don't go. Because the V2K doesn't want you to go talk to your senator or to your representative to demand freedom from this wicked, diabolical program. So do you think that they are going to tell you something that is good for you? The same individuals that torture you? No. Now, if you write to Targeted Action 2025 at proton.me, you tell me what is the state that you are coming from. I have here, I promise I will take a picture and send you back if I have the card from your representative or your senator, so that you can call them, email them, and schedule an appointment. This is very important, not just for you, but for the freedom of everybody in America and around the world from this horrible program. Okay? Please, let me show you, so you compare. Let me show you what this here. This is the Lockheed Martin GPS-3 satellite. They are 80 square feet, 38 feet wide, 4,760 pounds compared to the 500 pounds that the Starlink weighs, okay? Now, that is where the Vercator weapon is attached to. That can accommodate the Vercator weapon that the Space Force criminals and the CIA criminals use to beam the voices at you. It is Lockheed Martin and Boeing doing it to you. It is not Starlink. Regardless whether you agree with the robots and the Neuralink and the other stuff that Elon Musk does, please do not be mistaken, okay? Do not do things that are not intelligent. This is a smart community. We have survived a lot. Do not let these criminals fool you. Okay? On this, I want to comment on something. Last week, and I didn't include it because I'm almost out of time, but last week we got the news that a J6er that had been pardoned in January by President Trump was convicted to life in prison because in November of 2024, prior to this new administration, he was recorded, and his social media post, not social media, his private texting with another friend, they wanted to identify the FBI agents that had obliterated their lives, and they wanted to expose them, and I don't know what else. The guy did not have a weapon. I'm sorry, I don't have the name. I barely had time, but you can look it up. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't have a plan. And here's what's important for you. These criminals are listening to you 24/7. Not through remote, not just remote neural monitoring, because that's not something that you can take to a court of law. They cannot admit to a court of law that they're actually, reading your brain, right? They can't do that. They wouldn't admit to such criminality. However, they do have FISA warrants on each and every one of us, and they listen to your phone conversations. If they have, after those FISA warrants and those phone conversations, they get enough evidence to go to a court, an Article 3 court, and say, look, put in an affidavit. I think this person is a terrorist, and this person is going to do this because he's hanging out with this guy and doing this and that and talking about this. Then you're going to get indicted. You're going to get, the warrant, a real warrant, in order for an Article 3 court to have an indictment against you. The reason I tell you this is because a lot of you naively text anything over these WhatsApp and Signal and all that. You think it's encrypted. No, it's not. The NSA and these criminals have complete access to it. That's number one. Number two, be very mindful of joining group chats, particularly those coming from outside of the United States, because that is what FISA feeds off, the Americans' communications with foreigners. It breaks my heart. I cannot answer phone calls from outside of the United States because I don't want to give these criminals. And I know I'll tell you how they renewed the FISA on me, but I don't want to give them weapons. When you get a foreign phone call, that gives them, because they are liars. The FBI liars are still controlling the FBI, the ones that want to obliterate our lives, because now they have a better reason, a greater reason to obliterate their lives. Because when all of this is exposed, we are going to get to know who was the FBI agent that put us on the terrorist list. So what I am telling you is very mindful of the phone calls you answer. If you don't know the number, do not answer it. If it's from outside the United States, do not answer it. Unless you want your FISA easily renewed. Do not join chats that you don't know everybody on the chat. Limit it to the United States. And the moment you see somebody engaging in violent conversation like, oh, I want to kill all these people, whatever, you get out of that chat. Because what's going to happen is that they are going to associate you with that conduct as a clan. And you don't want to do that because you might be the most innocent person in the world and you innocently don't think anything of it. But you have to be very mindful. We are in the fourth quarter and you need to walk. It's a tightrope. And you have to balance yourself very carefully and not fall. Okay? What about your family? You can. If your family is outside of the United States, your family is okay. What I'm talking about is because I am assuming, Simone, that they're not targeted. I'm not saying. Yeah, that is a hard one. because I don't know what to tell you. I because your family is in Brazil. Uh, but it's not, you see, these criminals are not supposed to be, if they're not targeted, they're not supposed to be using that as a means to file applications with a FISA court that we know that Patel and Bondi continue to do it. I got a J6er texted me. I had texted him weeks ago saying, look, you need to tell your people that you are on the terrorist screening database, that I'm not explaining. He never replied. So what did the criminals at the FBI do? Oh, they needed to renew my FISA. So they pretended to be him replying to me. And he's like, what do you got? And I'm like, look, I have sworn statements. I have affidavits, da, da, da. Never replied again. That's how they, because they're so dumb, they tell on themselves that what they were doing is saying, oh, Ana Toledo is talking to this, I'm not going to say the person because he's very notorious, to this J6er who is a terrorist. Let's renew the FISA on her. And the reason I know that is because my phone for 2-3 days, they were not able to turn off my calls. You know, some of us, I have a flip phone. The first 3 attempts, they don't go through because these criminals have to hook up their Stingray to it. Well, for 2-3 days, I didn't have that. And then it started again. So I knew that it was all a setup from them. But you know what, criminals? My memory is very clear and I'm keeping tabs on everything and you're coming down. So, yes. Now, the last things I want to tell you is, so please just be very careful. I'm not saying to be paranoid. I'm just saying be mindful. And if you are in a group chat where anybody is talking anything violent, get out of it immediately. I block anybody who goes into violent rages on social media, whatever. I mute them or I block them because I don't want to be part of it, because targeted justice only advocates for peaceful solutions to the heinous crimes against humanity that we're being subjected to. Okay. That's just my, okay. Now, targeted action, please sign up. This is our moment. There is environment. There is feedback. There are people that are listening. This is our moment. We need for you to make an appointment with your senator and your representative. As I said, write to Targeted Action 2025 with the name of your senator or representative you want to seek for an appointment. And I will send you a photograph, an image of the cards that we have from that office. And you have to be relentless because the criminals are hijacking our efforts. But if we have come all the way here today, we can do this. There is nothing we cannot accomplish. And we can accomplish these meetings. The Printify shop, I don't know, you can't see it here, but we have in the Printify shop, I have a Gavel t-shirts. We have Targeted Action 2025. We're going to be adding a really pretty one that Ortain made. And so please look for that. Remember, if you're not registered, you cannot participate in our activities. And the reason for that is because we are going to be protecting your safety. Now, go to TI events for those of you that need a ride or sharing accommodations. Please go to TI events that they have a bulletin board for that. And then I just wanted to, I know I have extended myself a little bit, but I want to say this to you. This week, the cloud seeding in Texas, it seems to be what has caused the horrific floodings that responsible for the deaths of so many young girls. And I just want to reiterate to you that life is so ephemeral and so short, yet we have made it this far. And we have made it this far for a reason. Every single one of you is important in this crusade to end these crimes against humanity, particularly against those that are in countries that are horrifically tortured and have no means of redress. We are counting on you to become a hero in the end of this modern day slavery. we're here today. We don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow, but while you're here today, make it the best. Make it so that you can look at yourself in the mirror and said, I know I did my best. And it didn't work out well, whatever, but you know what? I did my best. Do not having the regret of saying, well, what if I had done that? That is the worst thing. And when you live your life with a conviction that you are rooting for what's right and fighting for what's just, there are no regrets. So I really urge you to really think about that, how lucky we are that we're still here, despite all the suffering that has made us wiser and that has made us more intelligent, many of us, despite the loss of brain capacity and despite the brain fog, etc. So I really urge you to appreciate every minute that God has given you, because it is our it is our duty to give back to the world everything that so much that has been given to us. And let me see, I don't know if I have a few. Yeah, there's people missing. There's a young teenage girl that helped her family escape the car, but she was taken by the current, and she was found sitting in front of a tree. And I have a son that I that is, we're separated now because he's back in Puerto Rico. But I just tell you, appreciate every minute you have, because we don't know when it's the last, and make it matter. Make your life matter. That is why I am insisting. Please join us in Targeted Action 2025. This is not about profit. We're not profiting from this. In fact, we're just investing our very last penny on this. This is not about that. It's about fighting for freedom, not just for you, but for little 3-year-old girls that are being attacked with V2K. For grandmothers, one of whom I know about, that she died at the age of 100, being targeted and being tortured. Let's make it about humanity. Let's be team humanity. And I'm counting on you, because I know that there are so many of you that have such huge hearts. Freedom. Yeah, freedom. Yeah, we have to carry the torch, the freedom torch, for those that can't, that their freedom of expression is curtailed. And like in Britain, that they cannot talk about their V2K because they will automatically be placed in a mental hospital or be forced with injections. So that's all I had to say for today. Sorry that I extended myself a little bit. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. And like I tell you, even though I had an 18-hour workday yesterday, I made a huge effort to be here with you today, because I really appreciate you being here. So I hope to see you next week with good news that tend to point that freedom is coming sooner than we ever thought. Have a beautiful and blessed day.